The Trump White House just held a disastrous press conference after the United States Energy Information Administration just made the admission of what I've been saying. The United States has hit tank bottom on the strategic petroleum reserves. The EIA has confirmed today that the Cushing Strategic Reserves in Cushing, Oklahoma in the United States has hit tank bottom. But we hit tank bottom, you know when? In June. And so the EIA said crude stocks at Cushing fell below 20 million barrels in June and may continue to be near tank bottom, the minimum oil that must remain in tanks and pipelines for pumps to work. That means some barrels counted as inventory may be unusable, leaving the hub effectively closer to empty than the headline figure even suggests. And when you hit tank bottom, it's not usable. The system requires a certain threshold amount in order to function. Look at this tank capacity schematic right here. Do you see the suction line? You need the inventory level to be higher for it to even work right now. And so we've hit tank bottom, and now any day, any hour, any moment, an emergency can strike. And if that happens, we will see a catastrophic global impact. They can do their best to try very quickly to kind of, get crude from other sources. Or it's done though. There's really nowhere else to go. They can try to scheme and scam, but this is becoming the catastrophe that we've been talking about. You take a look at what I've also been talking about, the 3-2-1 crack spread. You know how I've been saying crack spreads, and you're probably like, Ben, why do you keep saying crack spreads, man? That's the difference between the price of crude on the market that you see right now. That's at about $80 a barrel. It's still being suppressed through market manipulation in my view, but the crack spread is the difference between that and the price that refineries are selling 3-2-1. The 2 barrels that go to the gas that you fill up at the pump and the 1 barrel of diesel. And so that is that spread price right now is about $70 per barrel, which is like the highest ever, which is why you're still paying a lot more at the pump right now. And that shows diesel shortage. That shows actual fuel shortage as that number continues to rise. I'm going to show you what's going on in the White House in just a moment, but as Eric Natal explains, and he's been spot on when it comes to this, now that Iran and the Houthis are threatening to close the Bab el-Mandab Strait, and with the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserves now just 16 million barrels away from this minimum operational level, although it seems that we've basically hit that. I mean, we're dealing with the biggest global catastrophe ever already, and now it's getting worse. So Caroline Levitt shows back up with all of that as background, and Caroline Levitt starts to say, you know, what we're showing right now is peace through strength, because a reporter asks her, Donald Trump has said the Iranians are scum, they're horrible, they're cuckoo, Donald Trump said, so I can't negotiate with them. Then J.D. Vance, literally 48 hours? Yesterday, J.D. Vance says, anybody who says we can't negotiate with them, they don't know what they're talking about. Of course we can negotiate with them. And then so Caroline Levitt says, and again, she's like, what we do know is whatever is remaining of the Iranian regime, they're neutered and they're scrambling. Whatever is remaining of them. What do you mean whatever is remaining of them? We need to understand. What are you talking about? They have their civil leaders who we know of, people like MB Ghalibaf and Foreign Minister Araghchi. We know about the military side, which is the IRGC and the Iranian army. And we hear their statements every day. We see their strikes in the Arab nations nearby. I've done reports on it earlier about closing down the Bab el-Mandab Strait. We know they've shut down the Strait of Hormuz right now. There's no ships. We know who the leadership is right there. And then we know at the religious level, the supreme leader, Mojtaba Khomeini, and we know the kind of council that's around. We know who the leadership is. The amount of just lying and propaganda, it's just stupid propaganda. Here, play this clip.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Welcome back.
Thank you.
2 questions for you. If I can read 2 comments, one made by President Trump and one made by the Vice President on Iran. President Trump recently said, As far as I'm concerned, it's just a waste of time dealing with them. They're liars. There's something wrong with them. They are cuckoo. They are scum, sick people, vicious, violent people. And then Vice President Vance went on Joe Rogan last night and he said, I'm very frustrated by the Americans and frankly by people in other countries who say you cannot negotiate with the Iranians. So your response to these contradictions, because I think you can understand how that's confusing for Americans with this mixed messaging. And then second question for you, at least 6 Americans are still detained in Iran. Mm-hmm. Will President Trump make this conditional, a point of condition in continuing these conversations with the country as well as political prisoners?
Sure.
And also people that are still being executed in Iran to this day?
Sure. To your second question, I'll never create a red line or a condition on behalf of the president without his blessing. I haven't heard him say that, but obviously ensuring the return of Americans wrongfully detained or held hostage all over this world remains a priority for him, and he has done so in a tremendous way over the course of the last year and a half. Americans from all over the world have returned home thanks to this president and the efforts of his national security team. To your first question about the comments between the president and the vice president, respectfully, I do think you're taking comments from different times throughout this conflict and kind of asking me if these are contradictory of each other. I can tell you the president and vice president are on the exact same page about where we are right now in this conflict. And the fact that you do see elements of what's remaining in the Iranian regime that are more willing to make a deal, and then other elements who are not so maybe willing to make a deal, shows that Operation Epic Fury was incredibly effective because we neutered their ability to communicate with one another, and they are a fragmented system. They are not the once very strong, powerful terrorist state that they were before this operation, which was one of the ultimate goals. So we'll continue to work through the process, and as I said, the president will hold them accountable when they turn their back on the words that they state to the United States, but he is always open to diplomacy at the very same time.
By the way, a lot of the stupid propaganda is then also fueled by the lack of media literacy in what's going on. So one of the questions Caroline Levitt gets is, why should the American people think they can do a deal with Iran when Iran keeps on breaching the MOU? Trump and Vance and Rubio breached the MOU the moment Donald Trump held that thing up in Versailles. The U.S. started breaching it right away. They entered into a other MOU with Lebanon and Netanyahu, saying that Netanyahu can basically stay in Lebanon indefinitely in security zones until Netanyahu at his own discretion pulls out. That's in direct contradiction to Clause 1 of the MOU with Iran. Marco Rubio immediately took a trip to various Arab nations, and he said, we're not going to give Iran $300 billion. We're not even going to be talking about that until Iran deals with the nuclear file. And when the MOU says, nope, you got to do all of these things, including have a permanent ceasefire in Lebanon before Iran will even talk about the nuclear file. And then when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz, it says Iran is the administrator of the Strait of Hormuz in consultation with Oman and the other Arab nations. And as soon as you signed it, the Trump regime tried to open up a lane by Oman and tell people don't use the IRGC lane. So we need to have at least an understanding of what's actually happening in the region so we can make informed decisions. And this is just a really bad question and an equally bad answer. Here, let's play it.
He essentially seemed fed up with these negotiations, and can you explain why the American people should think that a deal with Iran would even be worthwhile at this point, given the fact that they broke it already?
Well, look at how bad they are behaving. It just proves the president's initial point for launching Operation Epic Fury in the first place. Iran can never obtain a nuclear weapon. That's why he launched Operation Epic Fury. They have suffered devastating blows to their military and their economy as a result. The president is always open and willing to diplomacy. He is the peace through strength president after all. After Operation Epic Fury, the conclusion of it, we did move forward into a diplomatic phase, if you will. But unfortunately, Iran has since violated that. They have expressed they still want to make a deal to the president. We're talking to them, but again, the president is not going to allow them to fire on ships in the Strait without paying a consequence for that. And I think just one more point, I think throughout this entire endeavor, the president has proved not just to Iran, but to the entire world that we can hit Iran anytime, anywhere, any place. And their ability to defend themselves has been essentially wiped out because of this president and Operation Epic Fury in the first place. Sure. Lena, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Welcome back.
Thank you.
2 questions.
Now I'll show you a good question, and obviously it comes from an international question where they from Sky News here, which, you know, some issues whatever. But this was a good question right here, which was about Manab. And it's an important thing that the Trump regime wants to continue to cover up, that the U.S. slaughtered 168, mostly children, mostly little girls in Manab. And now Donald Trump saying we'll never get to the bottom of it. No, we have got to the bottom of it. It was a U.S. Tomahawk that slaughtered the little girls in Manab, and the U.S. has engaged in multiple other war crimes as well, which is one of the reasons why Marco Rubio wants to continue to attack the international criminal courts, because of all the damn war crimes the United States has been engaged in. Here, play this clip.
120 children dead, 26 of their teachers. A Sky News investigation released today points to all this being a tragic mistake by America, by the US military. So could you explain, please, why the president is repeatedly saying it wasn't America when he hasn't actually, he says also that he hasn't even seen the report?
I can't speak to the Sky News investigation respectfully because I have not read it. All I can speak to is what the president has said.
But Caroline Levitt says, never fret, never fret. The Consumer Price Index, CPI, shows inflation is going down. Now it's 3.5% year over year. Hooray, hooray. Okay, that's not going down, Caroline. It's less than what was the previous month because of the memorandum of understanding, which the Trump regime breached. So that 3.5 is now going to continue to go up and up and up and up. The Americans aren't feeling it, and it's not down. Inflation's not down. It's up. It's up 3.5% year over year. That's up. Here, play this clip.
Turning now to the economy. Tuesday's CPI report confirmed what President Trump predicted. Prices are falling, and this administration's economic policies are working. Inflation dropped 0.4% last month, beating expectations and marking the largest monthly decline in more than 6 years. Prices fell, including for gasoline, electricity, non-prescription drugs, car insurance, medical care services, and hotels, delivering relief for American working families.
And again, they want to distract from the fact that we're in a global economic catastrophe right now. Strategic reserve tank bottom right now is where it's at. You've got the market manipulation that's taking place. All of these, whales associated with Treasury Secretary and Besant constantly trying to short the crude market, but they can't short it when it comes up on the market of the crack spreads when it comes to what's being charged at the refineries. Here's a question, because Donald Trump's doing this presser tonight to try to distract from everything. Will the president accept the results of the election? And she goes, tune into the speech tonight. Not yes. Tune into the speech tonight that Donald Trump's giving. Here, play this clip.
It's a decision by the president, so I think that speaks for itself.
On the concerns about the election, will the president accept the results of November's elections?
Look, Ed, you should tune into the president's speech tonight before you jump ahead to conclusions about what's actually in the speech. Again, I've seen a lot of reporting and misreporting about what the president will say. We hope CBS will take the speech, and all Americans should take it.
Okay, but I'm not presuming it.
And then Caitlin Collins with a good question regarding Trump's speech tonight. He's been in office 540 days now. So if you're saying that there's criminal activity to overturn the results of the 2020 election, I guess that's that's the fraud that they're trying to push. Why isn't there any criminal cases? Here, play this clip.
The very same time.
Thank you, Caroline. Sure. Regarding the president's speech tonight, he's been in office over 540 days now. If what he says is tonight is backed up by evidence, why hasn't anyone been charged?
He hasn't revealed it yet. He hasn't declassified the documents yet, and you will see what he says tonight, and then we'll move forward appropriately from there.
Tonight from the Justice Department?
I don't speak on behalf of the Justice Department, Caitlin, you know that. Rachel.
By evidence, will there be charges?
You'll have to ask the Justice Department. I don't charge people. I just speak on behalf of the president. Rachel.
Thanks, Caroline. Welcome back.
We also learned earlier that the person who ran Trump's teleprompter was betting on what Donald Trump would say. He'd get the speeches in advance, then he would place bets on Kalshi. So that person is being suspended. So this question was about that. Let's play this clip.
Talked a little bit about what the president might say tonight, but the other question is who is running the teleprompter tonight after this report that the other guy is now under investigation for making money off of reading the president's speech?
Obviously, I'm aware of the report. The president is too. I spoke with him about it. He believes it's deeply unfortunate and frankly a disgrace. And the individual that was cited in that report is complying with the CFTC, but has been put on paid administrative leave. So there will be a teleprompter operator tonight, of course, but it will not be the one, unfortunately, in that story.
One more on Iran. The vice president, J.D. Vance, went on this podcast with Joe Rogan yesterday talking.
Or how about the Trump kids making investments in mining companies that all of a sudden get deals in Kazakhstan? Yeah, little known mining companies that get huge government deals in Kazakhstan, and the Trump kids get rich to the tune of hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Did Donald Trump know about that? To which Caroline Levitt goes, I don't know. Here, play this clip.
It's time.
Caroline, welcome back.
Thanks.
Last year, the administration signed a critical minerals deal, mining deal with Kazakhstan for a little-known U.S. company. It was an agreement that President Trump and Howard Lutnick got tentative approval for with Kazakhstan's president in September. 6 days before the deal was signed, which was in November, the president's older sons with other partners took a 20% investment in a company related to the deal. What did the president know about his son's involvement in this arrangement, and when did he find out about it?
From my understanding, Maggie, nothing. I've spoken to the president and his family about this. They would absolutely never do anything that would put the president in a place of a conflict of interest. And we have timelines to give you and to provide you, which we did to the news media at the time when this story broke, to prove that very point that I just made.
Sorry, just 1 second. So the president did not learn about it until it was in the media? That was when he found out?
That's my understanding of the matter, yes.
Caroline,
Go ahead. Carrie, I'll go to you after. Just thank you. Sure.
Now, while that was going on, you had Tom Homan talking about bloodshed in the streets. There will be bloodshed, he says. Let's play it.
Flag to a spouse for a child. So, President Trump's clear this policy is not going away. But it all goes back to the Dems who want to continually attack ICE and tell people to evade them, tell people don't comply, tell people to resist, and tell people ICE isn't real law enforcement agency. You and I talked about this 1.5 years ago, Laura. I said if the hateful rhetoric didn't stop, there will be bloodshed. And I'm saying it right now. There's still going to be more bloodshed unless they shut their mouth and let ICE enforce the laws that they enacted.
And then finally, we have John Ossoff, Senator Ossoff, saying the following here. Play it.
Here's what's going to happen tonight. The world's most famous sore loser will deliver a primetime presidential sour grapes address to pursue his 6-year-old grievances about the 2020 election, while his war in the Middle East spirals out of control and the cost of living continues to rise for Americans across the country.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Breaking news right now. My brothers and I wrote a book. It's called WTF America. And well, doesn't that just say it all? It comes out officially this October, but you can pre-order your copy today. Just scan the QR code or click the link in the description below.